Hello dear students, welcome back in class 9 chemistry. Students, I hope that you all are fine. Well, today we are going to start a new chapter 4, Structure of Atom, part 1. In part 1 of this chapter, we will learn in detail about charged particles in matter, discovery of subatomic particles that are protons and electrons, Thomson model of an atom and its drawback. Students, you all know that everything around us is matter. Whether it is in solid state, liquid state or in gaseous state. Everything around us is matter as it occupies space and has mass. According to a British chemist, John Dalton, all matter is made up of extremely tiny particles called atoms. Atoms are tiny beyond our imagination. An atom is too small even than a particle of chalk powder or a particle of fine sand. According to him, atoms are indivisible. That is, they cannot be divided further. According to him, atoms of same element have same mass and similar chemical properties. Students, you know element is a pure substance as it is made up of same kind of atoms. Look at this picture. It is a sheet of gold. Gold is made up of gold element. An element of gold is made up of similar kinds of several gold atoms. All atoms of gold have same mass and similar chemical properties. Similarly, look at this picture. This is a sheet of silver. This silver is made up of silver element and an element of silver is made up of several similar kind of silver atoms which have same mass and same chemical properties. But how an atom of silver is different from an atom of gold? Atoms of different elements have different mass and different chemical properties. Atoms and molecules are the fundamental building blocks of matter. The existence of different kinds of matter is due to different atoms that make them. So the question arises, what makes the atom of one element different from atom of another element, as you have seen in previous slide? That how an atom of silver is different from atom of gold. And second question which comes in our mind, are atoms really indivisible? Means they cannot be divided further as proposed by Dalton? This posed a great challenge to the scientists of that era. By the end of 19th century, many scientists like J.J. Thomson, E. Goldstein, Rutherford, James Chadwick, Niels Bohr, through their researches, concluded finally that atom is divisible and consists of still smaller subatomic particles. Now let's study about charged particles of matter. One of the first indications that atoms are not indivisible comes from studying the static electricity and the condition under which electricity is conducted by different substances. Let us see one activity. You might have performed this activity many times in your junior classes. Let's see this activity once again. Rub the comb or your plastic scale with your dry hair and bring it near the bits of paper. What will you observe? The comb or the plastic scale attracts the small bits of paper towards it. Similarly, if you rub a glass rod with silk cloth and bring the glass rod near the inflated balloon, see what happens. You will observe that the glass rod attracts the inflated balloon towards it. What do we conclude from these two activities? We conclude that on rubbing two objects, they become electrically charged. Now the question arises, where does this charge come from? So this activity gives an idea that an atom is divisible and consists of some charged particles in it. Many scientists contributed in revealing the presence of charged particles in an atom. By the year 1900, it was known that an atom is divisible and consists of subatomic particles that are protons, neutrons, and electrons. So, we will learn in this chapter that how these subatomic particles in an atom were discovered. Let us see discovery of an electron. In year 1900, a British physicist J.J. Thomson noticed and identified the presence of the negatively charged particles called electrons in an atom. Let us see what are electrons and what are the properties of electrons. Electrons are negatively charged particles and carry unit negative charge -1. Its absolute charge was found to be -1.6 into 10 raised to power -19 coulombs. C means coulombs. It is the SI unit of charge. Charge is measured in unit coulombs, which is named after the name of scientist Coulomb. These electrons have negligible mass, and if its mass is compared with another subatomic particle which is positively charged called protons, then it comes out to be approximately 1 upon 2000 times or 1 upon 1840 times as that of the mass of protons. In kilograms, its mass, its absolute mass was found to be 9.1 into 10 raised to power -31 kg. These values you have to learn, and these can be used in solving various numericals in higher classes. In general, an electron is represented by E negative. Now let us see the discovery of another subatomic particle, that is proton in an atom. Even before the electron was identified by J.J. Thomson, E. Goldstein in 1886 discovered the presence of new radiations in a gas discharge tube and called them canal rays. Now let us see first what is discharge tube. This discharge tube is a glass tube in which the experiments that led to the discovery of electrons and protons were conducted by J.J. Thomson and E. Goldstein. Discharge tube is a long glass tube about 600 centimeter long, sealed at both ends. It is fitted with two metallic electrodes. One is anode, which is connected to positive end of the battery, and other is cathode, which is connected to negative end of the battery. And in this discharge tube, these two metallic electrodes are connected to source of high voltage, that is 10,000 volt, and it is also provided with a stopcock which could be connected to a vacuum pump to reduce the pressure of the gas inside the tube to any desired value, about 0.0 mm of mercury, in order to carry out the experiment. E. Goldstein used this discharge tube to conduct his experiment. He used a perforated cathode. Perforated means holes or pores present in this cathode. He placed this perforated cathode somewhere in the center of this discharge tube but not at the ends. He also coated the wall of this discharge tube with zinc sulfide opposite to the cathode. He filled this discharge tube with hydrogen gas. On passing electric current of about 10,000 volts through the hydrogen gas filled inside this gas discharge tube at low pressure, about 0.01 mm of mercury, he observed some rays were coming from the side of anode and passed through the perforation or holes of cathode and produced a green fluorescence on the opposite glass wall coated with zinc sulfide. Green fluorescence means light is produced on the opposite glass wall coated with this zinc sulfide. These rays coming from the side of anode were named as anode rays, as they were directed away from anode and passed through the perforations of cathode. The rays were also called positive rays since they consist of positively charged particles. Initially, people called these anode rays as canal rays, as they seem to be moving like a stream of water in a canal in this discharge tube. So ultimately, these positive rays led to the discovery of protons, as they consist of positively charged particles. Now let us see the properties of protons. Protons are positively charged particles and carry a unit positive charge +1. The value of absolute charge of protons is found to be plus 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulombs. Protons have unit mass of 1 U. If the mass of protons is compared with mass of electron, then it comes out to be approximately 2000 times the mass of electrons. Means protons are much heavier than electrons. The value of absolute mass of proton is found to be 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kilograms. In general, proton is represented by P plus. The protons have a charge equal in magnitude but opposite in sign to that of electrons. It means both protons and electrons carry unit charge, but charge on proton is +1 and charge on electron is -1. And if we see the absolute value of absolute charges on both protons and electrons, both carry 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb charge. But in case of protons, it is plus 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulombs, and in electrons, its value is minus 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulombs. So, the protons have a charge equal in magnitude but opposite in sign to that of electrons. Number of protons are equal to number of electrons in an atom, but they carry opposite charge. Protons carry positive charge and electrons carry negative charge. So, an atom is composed of positively charged protons and negatively charged electrons, which are equal in number but carry opposite charges. They mutually balance their charges and make an atom electrically neutral. Now see some questions which are given in your textbook as blueprint questions on page number 47. First question, what are canal rays? Very important question. We have discussed in the previous slides. What are canal rays? These are the positively charged radiations coming from the side of anode towards cathode in a gas discharge tube that led to the discovery of positively charged subatomic particles called protons. These are called canal rays as they pass through the perforation of the cathode in discharge tube like a stream of water in a canal. E. Goldstein in 1886 discovered these positively charged particles called protons, and these are known as canal rays. These positively charged radiations are named as canal rays. Let us see another question. If an atom contains one electron and one proton, will it carry any charge or not? Answer is no. It will not carry any charge because positively charged particles, that is proton, neutralizes the negatively charged particle, that is electron. So the atom will not carry any charge. So this is how protons and electrons were discovered in an atom. The discovery of electrons and protons made by J.J. Thomson and E. Goldstein, along with their co-workers, brought a revolution in the field of chemistry. The Dalton's concept of indivisibility of an atom was discarded. Electrons and protons were regarded as the main subatomic particles associated with every atom. Now the major challenge before the scientists of that era was to determine the relative position of these fundamental particles in an atom, means how these particles are arranged in an atom and where are they located in an atom. So several attempts were made by different scientists of that era to describe the structure of an atom. The models which describe the arrangement of these fundamental particles in an atom are known as atomic models. J.J. Thomson was highly encouraged by the discovery of electrons. He was first to predict the picture of an atom, known as Thomson's model of an atom, in year 1904. J.J. Thomson in 1904 proposed the model of an atom that was similar to that of Christmas pudding or watermelon. According to one view, the electrons in the sphere of positive charge were arranged like currants or dry fruits in a spherical Christmas pudding. Students, you can see from this picture that Thomson's model of an atom can be compared with Christmas pudding. The base of this Christmas pudding looks like a positively charged sphere, and the currants or dry fruits in this base are like the negatively charged electrons embedded in it. His model can also be compared with watermelon. You can see from this picture that this is the model given by Thomson of an atom, and this model is compared with this watermelon. The red edible part of watermelon represents the positively charged sphere in which electrons are studied like the seeds in watermelon. Now students, let us see what J.J. Thomson ultimately proposed in his model. J.J. Thomson proposed that an atom consists of positively charged sphere and the electrons are embedded in it. The negative and positive charges are equal in magnitude that balance each other, so the atom as a whole is electrically neutral. So after discussing this Thomson's model of an atom, try to answer this question, which is also asked in your book as blueprint question on page number 49. On the basis of Thomson's model of an atom, explain how the atom is neutral as a whole. So we know that the atom, according to J.J. Thomson's model, consists of positively charged sphere in which electrons are embedded, and the negative charge electrons and positive charge protons are equal in their magnitude or number that balance each other and makes an atom electrically neutral as a whole. Now let us see what is the advantage of J.J. Thomson's model of an atom and what is the limitation or drawback or disadvantage of this model. Advantage of this model is that his model explained that atoms are electrically neutral. But limitation of his model was that the result of the experiments carried out by other scientists could not be explained by this model. For example, it could not explain the results of alpha scattering experiment of Rutherford, about which you will study in next video lecture. Due to this, Thomson's model of an atom was rejected. So students, I hope that you have understood this topic which we have discussed in part 1, that how charged particles are present in an atom, how these charged particles were discovered, and the first model of an atom given by J.J. Thomson. Students, if you have any doubt in any of the part of this lecture, you can ask me telephonically or through WhatsApp. So students, thank you so much for watching this video. Have a nice day.